On October 12, 2016, North Umbria Police in England received a frantic call. A young woman said she had found her 24-year-old flatmate badly injured. The caller was completely distraught, insisting it was all the fault of her friend's ex-boyfriend, whom she referred to as an absolute psychopath. It was a brutal murder case of Alice Ruggles murdered by her boyfriend. Alice Ruggles was born on December 24, 1991, in Leicester, a county in the United Kingdom. She was the middle child of 4, nestled between brothers Nick and Patrick and her sister Emma. The Ruggles were a middle-class family like any other. Her mother, Dr. Sue Hills, was head of mathematics at Leicester High School for Girls. Her father, Professor Clive Ruggles, was a respected academic. Education, achievement, and kindness were the pillars of her world. Alice had what could be called a normal childhood. Those close to her described her as loving and empathetic. She was also very outgoing, witty, and fun. She truly had the power to lift the mood of anyone who was feeling down. At 11 years old, she began taking fencing lessons and quickly excelled, going on to represent her county and the East Midlands region in various competitions. She trained relentlessly, her dedication transforming natural talent into county championship titles. She became a captain, a leader, a beacon in the East Midlands fencing community. Those who knew her on the piste remember her focus, her grace, her fierce competitive spirit softened always by sportsmanship. After completing her degree, Alice pursued product design at Northumbria University, all while continuing to lead the women's fencing team as captain, guiding her teammates all the way to national championships. Upon graduating, she joined Sky in Newcastle, where those who worked alongside her often spoke of her infectious humor and her extraordinary gift for making others feel genuinely seen and valued. Alice was simply the kind of person who left every room a little brighter than she found it. One day in October, Alice was browsing Facebook when she came across a profile that caught her attention. It had been tagged in a photo by a mutual friend. It belonged to a young man named Trymon Dillon, known to everyone as Harry. He was a British soldier serving with the 2nd Scots in a non-combative role in Afghanistan. Alice found him attractive and did not hesitate to add him on Facebook. They began chatting almost daily, and the relationship turned romantic. He was stationed at Pennycook, just south of Edinburgh. When he returned to the UK, they met in person. Their relationship bloomed quickly, but beneath the surface, something was terribly wrong. What Dillon called affection was not protection. It was possession. He demanded her constant availability. He made subtle, cutting remarks about her appearance, chipping away at her confidence piece by piece. He began appearing uninvited when she was out with friends, pressuring her to leave with him, systematically isolating her from everyone who cared about her. The girl who was once vibrant and social grew quiet, withdrawn. Her housemates saw the change. Her family, gathered together for a holiday, were alarmed to find a shadow had taken the place of their bright, laughing daughter. When Alice discovered Dillon had been unfaithful, extremely jealous, controlling, manipulative, and possessive, learning from another woman he had pursued online, she ended the relationship. It was the right decision, the brave decision. But Dillon refused to accept it. He flooded her phone with messages, one moment desperate and pleading, the next cold and demanding. He sent tear-streaked selfies, weaponizing his own sadness. He even tracked down her former mother-in-law on social media, asking her to help him win Alice back. When she blocked him, he simply reinvented himself. New phone numbers, fresh email accounts, each barrier she built he dismantled. He reached out to her friends, her family, anyone he believed could be twisted into convincing her to return. He cried. He threatened suicide. He turned emotional blackmail into an art form, every word a carefully aimed blade. He invaded her digital life, hacking into her social media accounts to track her movements and monitor who she spoke to. Without her knowledge or consent, he obtained intimate images, and then threatened to release them. When he discovered she had begun seeing someone new, he unleashed a smear campaign, painting her as unfaithful and deceitful, desperate to destroy the fragile happiness she had built without him. By late September, Harry made a 5-hour, 385-kilometer round trip from Glencorse Barracks in Midlothian to Gateshead. At midnight, he rang the doorbell of Alice's house, but when she came to the door, he hid. Before leaving, Harry climbed up to her bedroom window and left flowers and chocolates on the sill. As he drove back to Glencorse, he sent Alice a voicemail in which he said he had left her the gifts as proof that he did not want to murder her. He then told her he understood if she did not want to speak to him again and apologized for bothering her. Then came the voicemail. In it, Dylan said something chilling. He repeated that he didn't want to kill her. The statement was both denial and confession, a window into a mind already crossing lines that cannot be uncrossed. Frightened and desperate, Alice went to the police. The police spoke with her and asked if her ex-boyfriend's behavior could be considered stalking. She said yes. They issued Dylan a police information notice. A PIN, a police information notice. It is a formal warning but carries no legal weight. It is essentially a piece of paper. The harassment continued. Alice called again. Police officer visited Alice's home but failed to connect her report to the previous incident. There was no record of her call. She was met with skepticism. The system designed to protect her did not believe her. Just 3 days after the PIN was issued, a parcel arrived at Alice's door. Inside was a letter thick with manipulation, guilt wrapped in false contrition. Dylan claimed he was now under disciplinary investigation because of her, that his career was in jeopardy, that this was all her doing. He returned trinkets and keepsakes from their time together, sentimental artifacts he insisted he could no longer keep. He promised once more to vanish from her life. It was not goodbye. It was another performance, another bid for control. In the days that followed, Alice entered a state of total panic. She had to ask her work colleagues to accompany her home every day. Once inside, she would double-lock the door. Soon, she would learn that her fears were not unfounded. Her flat became a fortress, but a fortress could not protect her from a man who had already decided she was his. On October 10, 2016, Dylan drove down from Edinburgh. He covertly observed Alice's home, taking photographs from the rear of the property. 2 nights later, Dylan returned. He waited nearby until Alice arrived home from work. He even messaged another woman, attempting to arrange a rendezvous later that same evening, a calculated alibi, or perhaps a sign of chilling compartmentalization. Then he broke in through a window. Armed with a kitchen knife, he confronted Alice in her bathroom. There he inflicted fatal injuries. On October 12, her flatmate, Maxine, arrived home at 6:30 p.m. She tried to enter but the door had been locked from the inside. Frightened, she climbed through a window and made her way to the bathroom. There she saw the worst thing she could have ever witnessed. Alice lay on the floor, surrounded by a pool of blood. Her quick thinking and immediate report to police led to Dylan's apprehension at his barracks just hours later. He denied involvement. The evidence was overwhelming. Alice was transported to the hospital and pronounced dead at 7:30 p.m. Dr. Jennifer Bolton discovered that the young woman's neck had been cut or stabbed at least 6 times. Her carotid artery, trachea, and larynx had been severed down to the spinal column. In total, she had suffered 24 injuries. The cause of death was catastrophic blood loss. The trial began in April 2017 at Newcastle Crown Court. In court, Dylan displayed a disturbing lack of emotion. He made implausible claims that Alice had attacked him. The jury rejected his account entirely. Finally, Trimon Harry Dylan was sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 22 years. Judge Paul Sloan QC said the murder was an act of absolute barbarity. Beneath the surface of the trial, a far more disturbing truth emerged. Dylan's behavior, the slow suffocation of coercive control, the calculated manipulation, the relentless escalation of his stalking, had been visible all along, yet recognized by no one until it was far too late. Alice had once mistaken his possessiveness for protectiveness, his obsessive attention for devotion. She did not see what he truly was: a man systematically dismantling her, cutting her off from everyone who loved her, seeking to dominate not just her time or her attention, but every corner of her existence. Alice's story is not an anomaly. It is a pattern. Stalking so often begins disguised as devotion, curdles into obsession, and too frequently ends in blood. Her case is not unique, and that is perhaps the most unbearable truth of all. Again and again, victims reach out for help and are met with silence, skepticism, or paperwork. While some stalkers stop when confronted, those who persist, those like Harry Dillon, are not merely nuisances. They are predators accelerating toward a known destination. In cases like these, stalking is not a precursor to violence. It is violence, unfolding in slow motion, one unanswered call for help at a time. In the aftermath of her death, Alice's family refused to let her be forgotten. They founded the Alice Ruggles Trust, an organization dedicated to raising awareness of stalking and pushing for systemic change in how such cases are handled. Their mission is clear: to ensure that what happened to Alice never happens to anyone else. Alice Ruggles was 24 years old. She was a county fencing champion, a university captain, a beloved daughter, sister, and friend. She had a remarkable sense of humor and an infectious personality. She brought joy and laughter to everyone who knew her. She deserved to be believed. She deserved to be protected. She deserved to grow old. It is not done. Every Holly, every Alice, every young woman who tries to leave a man who will not let her go, they are the reason this story must keep being told.